So Gina and Rafal, I understand that you've been trying to make Tiger Within for years, and it's
20 years
consistently fell apart. Is that right?
Well, it fell apart several times before Rafal read it, and then Rafal read it, and it was a melding of spirits, and I committed to him, and he's been on point on that, trying.
You know, I read it and I just burst into tears. There was something so touching and moving that I just couldn't get through it. Actually, I couldn't read it. And, you know, it's rare to find a script that just touches your heart so much. And was really the essence of, you know, just falling in love with this movie and this character and this very sad, lonely, you know, wonderful, soulful character of this girl, Casey, you know, that's just lost in the streets, and she's like desperately looking for love, for a father figure. It just touches your heart. And, you know, that's how it all came about.
Well, can you give us a sense of what you've done to pitch the film before going to Kickstarter? What were some of the meetings like? What were some of the ups and downs of it? What were you told?
I never really pitched it anywhere because I wrote it on spec, and it's a very unlikely sell because, you know, you have an unknown young girl and a very, very old man, neither box office draw. And I just wrote it because I wanted to. There was a Jewish cemetery. I was working at Columbia, one of my first jobs. Really terrific time there in TV. And I would take breaks, and it just happened to be behind, it was like at the Paramount Sunset Gower studios, and be right in there or behind there is this Jewish cemetery. And I didn't realize it. It's just a beautiful little park. And I mean, I knew it was cemetery. I didn't know it was Jewish. And I would walk through there, and I was just struck by these monuments, and I thought, wow. And I just thought, what loneliness, but there was like, there was a sweet loneliness to it. And then I thought of all the people that looked for each other after the war and who found each other. And then I thought of, you know, how many runaways land here in LA looking for something, and where are they going to sleep? You know, they sleep wherever they can. And I just invented Casey because I read somewhere, I mean, it was so stunning to me that, you know, a bunch of educated people in the middle of the country denied the Holocaust ever happened. And I just was like, that's just not possible. Is that possible? And I couldn't get it out of my mind that educated, book-smart people, professors even, believed that it was like, you know, didn't happen. And so I thought, yeah, I've seen a lot of kids, you know, like the whole Doc Martin thing, you know, it's like a skinhead thing and now it's fashion, but it's like, how many of those kids really know what the swastikas stand for and the power of the symbol? And that's where it came from for me.
Right, interesting. So you said you never formally tried to pitch it, really?
No, I mean, I'd have, you know, my agents, of course, would read it, and at one time I had an agent that was very supportive of it in its tiny niche. And it was almost set up, and then that director fell apart, and then it just was, you know, sitting around for a long time. And then, you know, Rafal did my very first movie that was Awful Play, and we were like, you know, hanging one day, and I said that I wrote something that probably would never get made, but I'll turn it into a play, and he read it, and he renewed my belief, because I don't know how to get money and do things like that to get it going. You know, he's the director. So.
Well, actually, you know, I pitched it maybe 1,000 times. I must have written like thousands of letters, gone to hundreds of meetings, and went everywhere, you know, to Hollywood with it. And
by himself, not me.
You know, after Fun won this special jury award at Sundance, like all the doors opened, and I was able to go and see every president of every studio, every major executive, every major producer, and I always would tell them, you know, this is one of the films, or the film actually, I want to do next. And they would just give me, you know, all these huge films that none of them actually I ended up getting to direct. And, you know, whenever I wanted to pitch this, I don't know, it just like didn't happen, you know. And I think it's just one of those beautiful scripts that just falls in between the cracks, you know. It's not a huge film that can attract stars. It's not like some kind of a, you know, blockbuster material. It's not something that, and I'm not a Steven Spielberg, you know, who can just, you know.
And it's not funny.
You know, so
No.
so it was always a struggle, you know, and and there were times when it was, you know, we just said we're just gonna make it. We're just gonna make it. We're just, you know, it's just such a beautiful story. It has to be told. The theme of it is so powerful, so touching. And it's a theme that applies to the whole world at large. It's not just a Holocaust-themed story. It's a story about everything that's going on in our world today. And our world is not getting better. It seems to be getting worse and worse. You know, it's getting more and more precarious, you know. So I think this film, in a funny way, you know, some scripts just sort of date, like the story dates. It's like a has-been story. But this story becomes more and more and more relevant and contemporary each day, you know, and that's why I just love it. And
Because it's just about emotion, you know. It's not based on anything that's current, you know. Like a lot of times you'll read a script and you'll go, oh, that's so 70s, you know, or that's so 80s, or because it's, and not done in an ironic way, like looking back, but having been written then, and it's dated. But if there's a good movies, I think, and I think I see them all. Like I just saw Lawrence of Arabia over the weekend, and it's just so brilliant. And you go, "Wow, it's as rich today as then, richer." I mean, you couldn't make that today, but it's just so brilliant. And those are the kind of things that interest both of us. That have emotional stability. You know, that it's true. It's emotion.
yeah, it just touches your heart, and that's you know, I've read this script maybe 200 times, and each time I just, you know, well up and I have to stop, and that's the power of it. That is the power of it, you know, and you know, that's the timelessness of it. And everything, the fashion changes, you know, the character she may listen to this music or that music, but ultimately the story is a beautiful, pure story, and a story that could take place right now in Palestine or Afghanistan or Tibet. You know, it's such a beautiful universal story about old age and youth, and two people who are opposites, who have lost their families. They have to come together, and it's about, you know, us creating a new family.
Yeah, some people are lucky and get born into a loving family, but not very many. And it's a big moment in the movie when he chooses her, and that's like a scene about choosing, because she's like, why do you want me? You know, you can't just choose your family. But I think modern life does that, you know, because so many of our original families don't work, and you find the components that are going to make you the best person you can be. That's, I think, what modern family is now. We're allowed to.